And now for our feature presentation.
You're listening to the JB and Goldwater Show. Live, loud, and online.
Puts it up. Whoa! There goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. American Fool! It's finally the one. American Fool has won the Triple Crown. And Bonds hits way high. It's a dig. It is out of here. High fly ball into right field. She is gone. Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson, and the Tigers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw.
Here are your hosts, Jamie Bradford and Darren Goldwater.
All right, greetings and a good Thursday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JV and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, July the 23rd. Happy opening day of Major League Baseball.
Yes!
Finally, here in 2020, it has arrived. A couple of games to play tonight. We'll talk about those with Corey McCartney coming up in just a little bit, and a bunch more that is going on in the sport of Major League Baseball. It is back. So are we. Darren Goldwater, Jamie Bradford. You can follow us on all social media platforms at JB and Goldwater. He is at Darren Goldwater. I am at Sports Radio JB. Individually on Twitter. That's where you can also watch our program daily, and on Facebook and on YouTube. Go to jbandgoldwatershow.com. You can find all of our available platforms and much more information there. And you can also, of course, listen to our programs every day for free by downloading the Podbean app, which is also free. And we are on daily 12 to 2 p.m. if you've not checked us out before. If today is your first day listening to our program, you're going to probably be this is one of those
Impressed is the word you're looking for. They're going to be impressed.
Yeah, I hope we under-promise and over-deliver. How about that? Because I don't think we'll be able to get everything in, but we're going to do everything we can to do it. We do have back-to-back guests this afternoon at 12:30. I mentioned Corey McCartney in Atlanta, Georgia. He'll get you ready to go for Major League Baseball. Josh Needleman will make his inaugural appearance on our program at 1 o'clock. He covers the Clemson Tigers with the Post and Courier, and there is a lot to discuss there. And then we'll spend about 15 minutes with Scott Glaze at 1:30 today, normally with us on Thursdays anyways. Scott is our golf pro out at Stono Ferry, and we'll talk about last weekend, this weekend, Tiger Woods, and a whole bunch more in the sport of golf. We've also got some NFL notes to get to. We have tons of football to get to today. So we're going to try to squeeze as much as we can in, Darren, as possible. But real quick, before we slide to the gridiron, we'll start on the diamond. Major League Baseball back tonight with 2 games. ESPN has both of them. You got your defending world champion Washington Nationals against another favorite this year in the New York Yankees with the opener tonight at 7 o'clock. And then at 10 o'clock, it's out west, the Giants and the Dodgers, in a very heated rivalry there. So back-to-back good ones to get the season rolling right along.
I can't wait. I mean, look, I'm decked out in my world championship gear. I got the Nats hat. I got the red, logoed up 2020 or 2019 World Series champs. Baseball, man. Live sports, baseball. I love baseball.
Yeah.
I love baseball, and I cannot wait for tonight.
As Billy Bean once said, it's hard to not be romantic about baseball. I would add to that and say just give yourselves a chance to be romantic about baseball. Some folks think the sport is too slow. You're wrong. If you get to know the sport and understand it a little bit, you will find it very enjoyable for 3 hours. You're going to see the best pitchers in the game tonight. Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer in Game 1. And in Game 2, Johnny Cueto will go for San Fran. And Clayton Kershaw, the big lefty, will be on the bump for the Los Angeles Dodgers to get things going. And then tomorrow, a bunch of games being played. And the first one tomorrow is the Braves and the Mets, and that is on ESPN. And Mike Soroka and Jacob deGrom will be head-to-head in that one at 4 o'clock up at Citi Field, followed by the Tigers, Reds, Blue Jays, Rays, Brewers, Cubs, Marlins, Phillies, Royals, Indians, Orioles, Red Sox, Rockies, Rangers, Twins, White Sox, Pirates, Cardinals, Mariners, Astros, Diamondbacks, Padres, Giants, Dodgers, and Angels, Athletics all tomorrow. So full slate of baseball to get you all the way deep into the night on Friday night. And, of course, on Saturday as well, games televised all day once again. So the next 3 or 4 days, if you've been wanting the live sports fix, something a little bit more traditional in this country like baseball, America's pastime, you're going to get plenty of opportunity to see it.
Yep, and it's not just golf. See, golf picked a really good weekend to have a B or C level field for the 3M Open, whatever they're calling it out there in the Twin Cities, because I don't feel invested in really having to pay attention to everything like I have been the last couple of weeks, and I've wanted to. They've been really good tournaments, good play, good players. But this weekend, I mean, it's baseball. It is all about baseball. I'm going to sit there with my app, my MLB.TV app, and if some of the games are on TV, great. If not, I'm going to pull those up. I'm going to watch. I'm going to baseball nerd it out this weekend.
A couple for those fans of local ball players, I can't give you the whole list because it's really hard to shuffle through. But I can tell you this off the top of my head: if you want to get a good crack at Justin Smoke, you're going to have a couple of opportunities. 7 o'clock ESPN on Friday night, the Brewers in Chicago. And then at, I think, 1 o'clock on Saturday. Yes, 1:05 on Saturday from Wrigley Field, the Brewers and the Cubs again. And that one is on Fox. So ESPN and Fox airing those 2 games. And you'll be able to see the former Gamecock and the former Stratford Knight suited up officially now as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers. So that is all to come with Corey McCartney. We're going to talk about a lot of baseball with him at 12:30. We will also give you a video that you may have already seen. If not, you'll see it for the first time this evening from the MLB Network. That will air. You'll actually be able to watch this at about 12, a little bit before 12:30.
20 minutes.
Yeah,
Let's say 20 minutes.
In about 20 minutes. So don't go anywhere. If you're passionate about baseball, this will give you the goosies, no question about that. And then Darren and I have also put together a montage that will get you really excited and will probably bring a tear and a smile to your eye all at the same time at the end of our program this afternoon, right around 1:56 p.m. It'll be about 4 minutes worth of quotes that you'll know very well and from movies that you better know. If not, find something else to do.
At least today, find something else to do. Yeah. This is a baseball day.
Yeah, we're paying tribute to the sport that we love so much around here. All right, let's pivot quickly, though, and get to football, Darren. We're going to try to, again, we're going to be going back and forth over the next couple of hours. But yesterday, there was more to that Senate hearing than I think maybe some of us might have thought were going to be in that. And there were a couple of interesting moments, I'll say, to put that rather politely. I'll start with Dan Radakovich, and we're going to talk to Josh Needleman with the Post and Courier about D-Rad and his comments yesterday. I read the full transcript of his entire speech to open his stand as a witness in this Senate Judiciary hearing, and I thought that Dan Radakovich, somebody who's been involved in athletics administration for well over 30 years, was very well-spoken and was very to the point. And so I was a little taken back by the fact that Senator Blumenthal, who we've mentioned on this program before, unfortunately, and we're mentioning him again, vaguely kind of threatened Dan Radakovich by reminding him about perjury laws after D-Rad said that Power 5 schools don't take away scholarships from injured athletes. Well, guys, Power 5 schools don't. There is a rule about that has been in place for, I think, maybe 8 years. Now, look, here's the thing. Not every Power 5 school is on a 4-year scholarship. Clemson, though, and South Carolina are in this state. It's called the Carolinas Promise and the Clemson Will. Those are the terms they use on their respective campuses. When you sign an athletic scholarship, you've got it for 4 years at a minimum. At a minimum, of course, that could be adjusted if you redshirt and things of that nature. And if you get hurt, it's guaranteed. Well, what they cannot do at the Power 5 level, Senator, is if you blow out a knee, go in and say, we're pulling your scholarship. No, that's not the way it works. Now, can it happen at the G5? It can. Can it happen at the FCS level? It can. Now, if we need to address those, that's fine. But Dan Radakovich spoke on the Power 5 level yesterday and was scolded by Senator Blumenthal. He didn't have his facts right, so he needs to get that right first.
In not having his facts right, I mean, technically speaking, the Power 5 cannot take something away, a scholarship away, for an injury. Does it happen? It does, occasionally, right? I mean, because you can skirt it a little bit. The injury happened at this point in time, then there was a sequence of events, and then now you don't have your scholarship. And so it can be loosely tied, even though it's not supposed to be. But it sounded like a holier-than-thou shot down at him. Like, we are this Senate committee, and we're not having this.
Right.
For whatever reason, we're not having this. We're not having this. And that was just
well, my response to that is fairly simple. If you don't want to deal with this right now, just tell somebody.
Yeah. Don't have the hearing.
Don't have it. I mean, we know that you have a lot to deal with in Washington. I mean, I think there's, politically speaking, I think that there's a Senate hearing today on whether they're going to have another financial relief package coming out for Americans and things like that. Look, there's they got a lot of stuff going on. I understand that. I'm okay with that. I'd rather them deal with that stuff. But Darren and I were texting back and forth about this yesterday, and I said to you, Darren, I said, it's a really crappy situation because the NCAA, although they could be to blame for this because they were not proactive, they've been reactive. They're in a time crunch because you've got 3 states who've already put laws in place. One of them will be in place before this time next year, which is Florida's law, which are name, image, and likeness laws. And the NCAA is trying to get something that is much more uniform across the country through all 50 states at every level, basically, instead of having to deal with individual state laws for name, image, and likeness. So, yeah, they are in a time crunch here. Speaking to that, though, Senator Graham, Lindsey Graham from the state of South Carolina, from the great state of South Carolina, said that the Judiciary Committee is starting a working group. Here, God, how many times have we heard working group?
Yeah, right.
But they are starting a working group to create a name, image, and likeness package, and that deadline is September the 15th. So whomever is on this group, and this is across the aisle, it's a bipartisan group, working group in Washington, is preparing to essentially develop with the information they have a name, image, and likeness release for the NCAA, and we should have it in less than 2 months. Now, I don't know, Darren, what the steps are. I don't know if they invite the NCAA back to Washington and say this is what we've come up with. I don't know if the NCAA is going to be allowed to have input into this. I don't know any of those details. I don't know that you've seen me. I don't know that anybody's seen me.
I don't think that they are out at the moment.
I would say this. I do respect anybody, even though you don't have to agree with them. I respect anybody who has been elected to office in this country because that is what this country is built on. These are elected officials by us. In saying that, I hope that the elected officials whom are in this working group have some sort of idea of what they're doing. Because if they don't, and we have Congress fighting with the NCAA that is fighting with states that are fighting with Congress and everybody's fighting with athletes and schools, we're going to have a mess that you could never possibly imagine. So I'm going to hope and think. Now, I do know this. Senator Graham has a great relationship with the University of South Carolina and with Clemson University.
Mm-hmm.
He is incredibly tied into the controlling bodies of both of those schools, and he is incredibly supportive of every university or college in this state. Senator Graham has always been that way. So I'll give him credit. I don't know much about the other guys. I can just speak on Lindsey because he's from the state of South Carolina. So I am hoping that these senators, Darren, are using their connections in their states and beyond to receive as much information as possible and then be able to re-release this information back out, and let's collectively do this.
Yeah, that's obviously the goal of any type of meeting, of any Senate panel or any government thing. Not even government, just any group that is required to make a decision. Go gather all your facts, make the correct decision. So that's one of the reasons why it can't happen in the immediate future, because they don't have time to go gather all these facts and make sure that they're getting everything right, because they have other pressing issues that are going on right now.
Yes.
So it's
pressing.
just not possible for them to have all the information they need in order to make the right call.
That's exactly right. Now, in saying all of that, we have other concerns. And one of these concerns is travel restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. All right. So this is something that has not really been much of a focus thus far. The focus has been much more on the safety of players and how are we able to do this.
Yes.
How can we even play? That's it. Basically, how can we play the sport safely? But where it hasn't gone is how can we travel safely? Because there are a lot of schools out there who are in states that have travel restrictions either to or from or both. And, it would take the remaining hour and 43 minutes of this program and beyond for Darren and I to try to weave in and out of each of these state laws that are current right now. But essentially, here's what that means. You have some states who have mandatory 14-day quarantines or quarantine requirements on folks from other states, and other states meaning states that have spikes in COVID, high numbers, basically. Mm-hmm. If you travel from South Carolina right now to, Pennsylvania, you have a 14-day quarantine, or to New York or something like that.
To a lot of places. South Carolina's on the list to most places.
Right. And they did not write these laws and exempt athletes. Now, in saying that, somehow, some way, professional sports, Major League Baseball in particular, is about to be played. So obviously they've crossed this bridge.
The pros have,
The pros have crossed this bridge. And I have not seen the working details in which how they have crossed that bridge, Darren, safely. But this is another hurdle for college athletics, because you're talking about, way more than 30 Major League Baseball teams. And you're talking about quadrupling that, if not more, when it comes to football. And that's essentially just at the Division I level. So travel restrictions, we'll have to, if at the end of next week we get a little bit of announcements or get some type of announcement from the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12, you might hear a little bit more about that. You also might hear more about that tomorrow, because tomorrow is the NCAA's Board of Governors meeting. Now, there could be a major decision made tomorrow.
Yes.
There could be. There might not be as well. There's some who want it to be made and some who don't want this decision to be made, and that decision is what to do with fall sports championships. There's 22 championships that are on the table across 3 divisions. And now that obviously means the sport can have more than one championship, because you have multiple divisions here. But you have 22 sports with championships to be played this fall. So the FBS wants the Board of Governors to wait on making a ruling. And that ruling, basically, Darren, from what we understand it to be, is that they could basically get in this Board of Governors meeting tomorrow, the NCAA, and say, we're going to cancel fall championships. Doesn't mean cancel the seasons, but we're going to cancel fall championships, because the NCAA is directly responsible for these championships.
It's what happened to shut this all down in the first place.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
It's exactly what happened. The Ivy League shut down, and then very quickly, when the NCAA announced that March Madness was closing down, the Board of Directors, the Board of Governors, said, No more championships. And immediately Omaha was wiped off the table, even though we were in March at that point.
And we were all going, whoa, what's going on here?
And that was a massive domino to fall. So if they choose this again, then would it affect football? No. But it affects virtually every other fall sport.
Yeah, it would not affect FBS football. It would not affect FBS football, but it would affect the FCS.
That's true.
Because the NCAA is in charge of the championship series championships. So the Board of Governors does have another meeting planned for August the 4th. And there are a lot of Power 5 or FBS schools who are saying, can you just hold off a little longer and let's try to retrieve a little bit more information before you make this decision. Now, there's no guarantee that they would even cancel all these championships. Actually, they don't even have to. They could actually wait until a week up before the championship and decide to cancel that. But there is the thinking that if the NCAA decided at some point, hey, you know what, we're going to go ahead and lead on this, which they haven't done. And when I say lead, just because you cancel something doesn't mean necessarily you're a leader, or just because you make something continue on doesn't necessarily make you a leader or make it the right choice, but they are at least trying to lead in one direction.
Right. The leader being the first to do something.
Yeah, whether you agree with the choice doesn't necessarily mean they're the leader. They're just the first one to make the decision.
Right. They're leading the line, basically.
Exactly. So, it's not really appropriate, Darren, for you and I necessarily to get into whether they should or shouldn't or anything like that. We don't have all the information. This is a decision for them to make. But whatever decision is made tomorrow, let's say they go that far and say, we're going to cancel. Well, then there's real pressure on the FBS to say, what are you doing? And why are you doing this?
Well, just imagine, right? If the fall championships are canceled, then volleyball teams have no championship to go play. Soccer teams have no championship to go play. Every sport in the fall, including, as Jamie pointed out, the FCS, there's no championship to go play. So very likely that it's all going to get shut down. So if football is playing, purely from an optics standpoint, it's like, whoa. So, like, it's cool for them, only football, but not for everybody else.
Right.
So that's why athletic directors really don't want this to be pushed through tomorrow.
Right.
Because then that forces their hand. Whether or not you agree with the leader, as we just discussed, that would force a following.
No question about that. There's no question. It would force a lot of difficult questions that would probably need to be answered sooner than later, Darren. And I think that some of these folks, at least at the FBS level, that we have been covering for weeks here, really in particular to major college football, again, they're still in their fact-finding mission and trying to wait until the final moment to make these decisions. And that leads me to this. And this was said last night by President Caslin at the University of South Carolina. He held a town hall meeting, which was really good on campus. And this allowed parents, this allowed students, potential students, anybody essentially to question anything that is going on with the University of South Carolina. But I took one quote from the Daily Gamecock, which is the student newspaper at South Carolina. And it is this, word for word: the best model that will help us to see if this will really work, and he here is discussing sports, and in particular football, is Major League Baseball, because Major League Baseball pretty much has the same sort of conditions. I predict that if Major League Baseball is successful, especially if they start up here in the next couple of days, which is planning to go tonight at 7,
yes,
that's going to be a teller for the rest of us, particularly collegiate football, end quote, and that is from President Bob Caslin. So there you go. That is more support on the powers that be at the FBS level, led by a president right here, and Bob Caslin. They are in a fact-finding mission, clearly. Now, that's obviously not just fact-finding on their own campus. They're also wanting to see what happens with the pros, those that they can see in the period of time that they have before they are required to make a decision. And obviously Major League Baseball is what they're paying the most attention to. Now, let me give you a quick note on that. If you recall, only a couple of weeks ago, we mentioned this on this program, that the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, the Pac-12, and the Big 10 in particular, these Power 5 commissioners had been in a, once again, I'm going to use this term, a real fact-finding mission where they were in deep conversation and as far as protocols, guidelines, strategy, things of that nature, obviously involving this pandemic, with every major sport out there. Mm-hmm. They spoke with the commissioners of Major League Baseball, of the NFL, of the MLS, of the NHL, the NBA. They talked to all of them. So they wanted to know what are the pros doing. And obviously, when President Kaslan, who has been privy to all this information, makes this quote last night, they are focused really on what baseball is doing. Because MLS and NBA, they've been together for a little while now.
Down in Orlando.
And I haven't heard much about that. But this quote here said, whoa, they're waiting to see these games played by Major League Baseball. Why? Obviously, there's something there that everybody's paying attention to behind the scenes, and that is part of this fact-finding mission.
And you wouldn't think President Kaslan would cavalierly say something like that. That conversations like that have happened, which led to him saying that. And another aspect of let's watch how baseball plays, baseball is starting to entertain the idea, and I just saw this right before the show. One of the, I want to say it's the Reds, could be the Cardinals. A team is getting ready to petition MLB for, I think, 20% capacity in their stadium. So some fans, MLB doesn't want to hear it for the first 2 weeks. They're saying, let's get this thing off the ground. Let's see how it goes. If things are going well, then, yeah, we can entertain thoughts of, well, expanding of our rules of what we're going to allow.
Wow. Okay. All right. And obviously that is being considered at a lot of college football campuses as well, with all of these models that have been run right here in our state.
That's right.
We've heard Clemson and South Carolina talk about it plenty. In particular, Coach Tanner. He's mentioned this multiple times. All right, before we run to break here and then bring you back with a wonderful video to get you ready for baseball season and to get you ready, of course, for Corey McCartney joining us in Atlanta, Georgia. The Pac-12 is finalizing an aggressive conference-only schedule that would start in mid-September and would have 3 dates to play a championship game mid-September. And what that kind of tells me is that's the let's give it another couple of weeks. Let's see what happens once we get some students on campus. Let's see how this thing kind of looks. And if you got to cancel, we got to cancel. By the way, that's what Clemson essentially announced yesterday with their students. And we'll talk to Josh Needleman about that at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
I'm excited to talk to Needleman about Clemson pushing back its students because it feels like a very football-centric move, a fall sports type of move.
Absolutely.
Because, look, we'll start classes online. We're not going to bring outside sources back on campus that could potentially affect a major revenue stream. Mm-hmm. And we'll see how we can progress this way. I have no problem with it, but it does seem like it's an academic move based on athletics.
That's what it seems like. Yeah.
Yes, it seems like that.
So anxious to hear what Josh has to say about this. By the way, this schedule at the Pac-12 is a 10-game schedule. Spanning 14 weeks, by the way, is what this would be played in with the championship possibility dates and things of that nature. All right, a quick timeout. Don't go anywhere. Baseball is back. You'll see it when we return.
Honey Baked Ham in Somerville and in Mount Pleasant is your home for catering and lunch. Honey Baked Somerville, owned by former Gamecock right-hander Mike Cisco, is just off the interstate and they are ready to cater to your next business or family meal. Plus, drop in for an incredible sandwiches daily for lunch. The Mount Pleasant location is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge and always ready to serve and cater to your next meals as well. Plus, delivery is available. Honeybake.com to find your menu today.
What's up, guys? It's JB. Obviously, things have been kind of crazy with the coronavirus taking over our lives. We're stuck inside with family, finding ways to be creative and probably tapping the liquor cabinet a little bit. If you don't have Patrick Davis's Whiskey Jam in yours, put on your mask and gloves and head to Bottles or Burris Liquor Stores here in Charleston. The Blackberry is my personal favorite on the rocks, but the original Whiskey Jam is Patrick's. So either way, you're winning with Whiskey Jam. WhiskeyJam.com, PatrickDavis.com.
One of these drinks is gonna cloud my memory.
Do DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
this offseason on simplifying the swing. So I'm excited to see what we see out of Austin Riley in 2020.
I remember at the beginning of 2019 last year, Corey McCartney on my program when I was with ESPN here, and he said, Austin Riley's going to be up soon. Keep your eyes on him. He's a stud. And Corey was right. So what couch is Yasiel Puig going to be watching the Braves from tomorrow? Obviously, that didn't work out very well. But what type of loss is that, or is it a loss for the Braves?
Obviously, they went out and subsequently brought in Matt Adams. I think one of the main factors with this is how the dominoes that kind of start to fall in that outfield. When Puig was in there, I mean, they obviously signed Marcell Ozuna to be their left fielder, and they did that before the designated hitter was part of the National League's makeup for 2020. There were some rumblings after that DH came out that, okay, maybe we're going to see Ozuna largely get some opportunities at the designated hitter. There's some people, I think he's a fine defensive player. I think some of the secondary metrics show that. There's some people who question it. Obviously, people go back to that bonehead play he made when he jumped off the wall when he was with the Cardinals. But to me, Puig is an upgrade defensively from what you were going to get from Ozuna. So it made sense that you were going to have Ozuna slide to DH. Now you're going to have Ozuna playing in the outfield, and you're going to have Matt Adams along with Adam Duvall getting time in DH. Duvall doesn't hit righties very well, but that's certainly that's what Matt Adams makes his money doing. So I think you're primarily going to see Matt Adams as designated hitter. This is, to me, these are all the dominoes that happened when Yasiel Puig got that positive COVID-19 test.
You're going to like Matt Adams if he can do just some of what he did with the Nationals. I mean, every now and then it was a good bat to have.
Well, but the Braves fans think about him moving Freddie Freeman to third base. So there's always that aspect of it. I don't think that's going to happen this time.
Wait, what?
I think Freddie's. Remember, they got him the first time. Freddie came back from injury, moved to third base because Matt Adams was at first.
That's right. Yeah, let's not do that again.
well, how is Freddie? I mean, we know he's feeling better. We know he's trying to get that strength back. Do we expect to see him opening day?
Yeah, I mean, the Freddie Freeman I've seen those last few games looks like the Freddie Freeman of old. I mean, he said he only lost 1 pound when we talked to him the other day when he came back. So he said, obviously, he was scared. He literally said, please don't take me the night when his temperature was above 104 degrees. He was scared to go to sleep. But I think he looks great. He looks like the Freddie Freeman of old. Interestingly, he takes the field tomorrow. He's going to tie Andrew Jones for the most consecutive opening day appearorances for the Braves since they moved to Atlanta.
How about that? Wow. Dropping some knowledge.
Hall of Famer Andrew Jones.
There we go.
Let's look at what is the rotation?
So obviously you're going to have Soroka, and then you're going to go with Fultonevich, and then Fried, and then Sean Newcomb, and then Kyle Wright's going to be in that fifth spot. Okay. So let's see if Kyle Wright can hold this thing down. Cole Hamels, we don't know when we're going to see him pitch. He's a ways off as everything we're getting. Indications from him. He said when he arrived that he was probably going to need 3-4 appearances to get up to that 50-60 pitch threshold in game action that he wanted to feel comfortable with. So I don't think we're going to see Cole Hamels anytime soon, and maybe middle to the end of August before we see him in action. So Kyle Wright did look impressive yesterday at times. We ran into some problems, but I think he's using that curveball now to set up that slider and fastball. So I think him in that fifth spot, I really like him as a breakout candidate for this team.
So if he can pitch anything like he pitched at Vanderbilt, he'll be fine. This kid's a stud. I mean, he shoved it right up.
Are there guys from Vanderbilt who were not studs when they were pitching at Vanderbilt?
Everybody. If you pitch at Vanderbilt, you throw at least 95, and you're going to go in the first round or two of the draft. That's just the way it goes.
I saw something interesting that I didn't realize, Corey, and us, like we're big baseball nuts here, just like you. There's 10 new managers, 10 in new spots or their first time, but 10 new skippers out there. Who are you most interested to watch?
Joe Girardi, right? I mean, he's back in the fold after being on a network set. He steps into a fantastic situation. I mean, frankly, I'm big into sabermetrics, but if Gabe Kapler wasn't obsessed with him in the way he is, he'd probably still be the manager in Philadelphia right now. So, to me, Girardi just walks into a situation, him and Dusty Baker, where it would be surprising to see those two teams, these two new managers, facing off in October, when you start thinking about World Series contenders. But yeah, to me, Girardi is the one that's the most fascinating.
Let me revert back to Atlanta real quick. I've got one more question. Is Mark Melancon the closer?
Yes. Will Smith, I think they want to use Will Smith. Remember how the Indians were able to take Andrew Miller and kind of move him into whatever the high leverage situation was whenever the game dictated. That's certainly a little bit against type for the way Brian Snitker has handled his bullpen throughout his career. He's always been a this is your inning kind of guy. But they're going into this season with Melanson getting the first crack at it. And they've got 6 guys with closing experience when Smith is available, but he's going to get the first opportunity.
Yeah, that's what I was questioning there, because I mean you got Luke Jackson, Shane Green, Melanson, Will Smith, Chris Martin. Who's other? Is it O'Day? Is O'Day the other one?
Yeah, Darren O'Day. Yep.
Yeah. So you got a bunch of guys who can really shut it down if you need to. Wow, that's a good problem to have for Atlanta. No question about it. Who's got the best rotation in baseball right now?
Oh, the Nationals.
Yeah.
I mean, without question. But again, what does that matter in 2020? What is this going to look like? Because a lot of teams are going to say, you haven't pitched in months. We only need you to go out there and throw 3-4 innings. I just think Davey Martinez is going to have a hard time getting those guys off the mound. And I wonder how that's going to affect this team when you start cramming these games at the amount of days we are.
It's going to be interesting to watch, because there's another side with the Nationals. And look, they're the World Series champs, and they're playing tonight. But if they've got the 4 that they've got, certainly the 3 with Scherzer, Strasburg, Corbin, who never may really grab that 4th, it's going to be Sanchez. Yeah. If they can manage those innings, and if what they've been doing during this time off can actually sustain itself, I mean, that rotation could carry them to another title. Is that not true?
It is true, but one thing I wonder about when you start thinking about 60 games, and I know obviously we can go back to May 24th last year, and they had all the T-shirts and all that stuff made.
19-31.
About what our record is. That's right. So about how good they were in that time period. What happens if one of them runs into a problem, and all of a sudden you've got to go to the bullpen in the 3rd inning, and now you've got a bunch of days crammed in where you're trying to leverage, and you've got your 5th starter who you're going to have to bring the bullpen out for earlier. You don't have those kind of throwaway games that we've had so much. Set that lazy Sunday afternoon where, we're going to have a bullpen day. Those are not going to exist in 2020. I just think teams are going to that rely too much on the top end of the rotation and have questions after it and questions about their bullpen. I think it's going to be troublesome.
Corey, we found out or at least I found out last night, that now all of a sudden they might decide to go ahead and expand the playoffs here in 2020 from 10 to 16 teams. Is this realistic, and why now?
I think there's the understanding that there's going to be some good teams left out. And I wish that they had just, this to me was like, why did we even have to have Rob Manfred step in? Because if the players would have been willing to push for that, to make a deal before this, we wouldn't even have him come in and said, okay, 60 games, this is the start date. I really don't understand why we're having these conversations hours before the first pitch of this season. But I think it would be a fantastic thing for baseball, because, you're already talking about, okay, can a team like the Padres get hot and all of a sudden, make a run at it? Well, what does that do for, a team like the Diamondbacks that we think is the 2nd best team in the West? What's it going to do, for all these kind of fringe postseason teams? This could change a lot of problems, and it's ultimately going to mean more money, because you're going to have more TV markets and more games. And I think that just ultimately plays into trying to make up for that lost revenue that they lost by the 100+ games that aren't going to be played.
Another change in baseball this year is the National League supporting the designated hitter. Is that something, obviously we'll see how it goes, but as we go into the season, based on the conversations you have had, is that something that is being discussed permanently as we get through this year and into the future?
Yeah, I mean, remember the CBA expires in 2021, so I think there's the hope that this is going to become a part of the lifeblood of the National League, and that you see more players getting more opportunities. Think about a guy like Yasiel Puig. Like, we watched him just sit there, and you can talk about his history and his whatever knock you want to have on his game. If the National League knows way in advance that it's having the designated hitter, I think a guy like that gets picked up a lot sooner. To me, it's just going to change the amount of guys that are going to get better contracts, more money. We're not talking about a final reliever on a team, being that 26th guy. We're talking about a high price bat, and I think that's just going to be good for the game. I don't think it's going anywhere, and we're going to see what it looks like in the NL in a few hours.
More money.
Yeah,
somebody got a lot of that yesterday.
More money. Yeah, Mookie got a little bit of money yesterday. So he's going to be sticking out there with the Dodgers for, the rest of his career. Maybe.
Life.
Yeah.
Rest of his life.
But where I wanted to go with this, and that totally just jumped right into my line of thinking here. Now I'm thinking, I know where I was going with that. Fans, based on what you've seen and watched, some of these intra-squads, some of these scrimmages, the television experience with piped-in crowd noise, have you enjoyed it so far?
I mean, it's better than what we were getting at the beginning, watching these Braves scrimmages where there was no sound and the only thing you heard was, the crack of the bat, or you heard the announcer announce the next guy coming up to the plate, hearing his walk-up music. I thought it was really bizarre not having anything. We talked to Max Fried and Brian Snicker about this after the Braves did it for the first time. Fried said he didn't even really think about it until he was off the field. Brian Snicker did have a really good point. I mean, they're basically doing this for the television product because they don't want to hear guys cussing at each other. They don't want to hear, a guy getting frustrated and saying something that a microphone picks up. It's going to drown out a little bit of that and kind of save having to have somebody on that 7-second delay in a control room.
Or it'll be like the PGA when they're constantly apologizing for audio mishaps as they term them.
That's right.
All right, couple quick ones. We'll let you get out of here. Got about 2 minutes to go. What happens if you cross the 6-foot arguing line with the umpire? Is that an automatic ejection or what?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what happens if a pitcher licks his fingers. I don't know what happens. I mean, there's all these little variables. What if a guy spits? I don't. We'll see. I mean, Dansby Swanson to me put it best. He said, everything that was nature to us and natural to us is no longer acceptable.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for these guys when they get into the flow of the game to not be able to do this stuff. But we'll see. Maybe a stern warning is what you'll get.
I've already seen it on TV. I've seen them spitting. I've seen guys with dip in. I mean, I've seen it already. So
well, I mean, you think about it. Every athlete, coaches, you talk about it all the time. I mean, you want to be out there playing just off instinct, right? You just want to be reacting to what's going on and not thinking. But if these guys are thinking about little things, not even the game, but like, oh, I can't spit. Oh, like I need grip.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
There's more nonsense that's just in their head, and then a screamer comes right at them. Like,
they'll be fun. All right, Cy Young, MVP candidates in your opinion before we let you run.
I think it's going to be a lot of the guys we talked about with last year. I mean, in the NL, you certainly got Jacob deGrom. You've got, Scherzer. You've got Strasburg. You got Mike Soroka, who I think, some people are down on Soroka. The projections don't like him because the strikeout rate's not there. This guy told us his stuff's better than it's ever been, so do not count him out. Certainly the NL MVP, I mean, Bellinger, Yelich, and Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, is this third 40-40, were we going to get it last year? 2020 to me, I think he makes a real run at that. So Braves haven't obviously had one since 99 with Chipper. So we'll see if Ronald Acuna Jr. can deliver.
Do we finish the season?
I'm going to say yeah, because I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be that guy.
Me neither.
So I think it's going to happen.
I'm with you.
We're going to find a way.
We're optimistic baseball fans. I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Anything we forgot? Anything that Darren and I just totally blew it on today?
No, you guys are good. Let's make this thing happen. Let's see some real ball tonight.
Yeah.
I'm tired of scrimmages.
Yes.
7 o'clock on ESPN. Darren's Nats and somebody's Yankees.
Doesn't matter.
We're about 6 hours away.
Nats are going with the gold numbers because they're the world champs, so they're allowed to wear the gold.
Yeah.
A couple other uniform tweaks that some others probably won't know or care about.
Yeah. No spitting. Corey, enjoy opening weekend. Can't wait, certainly. We'll check in with you next week and get your take on how it all unfolded. I'm sure there's going to be plenty to discuss. So thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch that John Hamm video and cry for a little bit.
I know.
I'll see you guys later.
All right,
later on, man.
Corey McCartney in Atlanta, Georgia on Twitter at Corey J. McCartney. Time for a timeout. Also time for a cheesesteak. Buy one, get one half off foot-long cheesesteaks at DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley and Avondale, where they deliver on every delivery app ever known to man. Check them out if you haven't. Don't forget the Boardwalk fries. They come with the Old Bay seasoning at DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. When we return, Josh Needleman with the Post and Courier. He'll join us. A bunch of stuff going on with Clemson. We'll get into that on the JB and Goldwater Show.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Low Country. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf teams. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Clamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the National Anthem.
Live, loud, and online.
.102, welcome back. Final hour on this Thursday afternoon, July the 23rd. Opening day on the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online. Darren Goldwater to my left. I am Jamie Bradford. Collectively, we are at JB and Goldwater across all social media platforms. I am at Sports Radio JB. He is at Darren Goldwater. You can watch us, as you do, every day. Thank you. On YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope. And you can also listen on the Podbean app. jbandgoldwatershow.com is where you can find all that information and much, much more. We're going to give you a lot of information over the next 56 minutes. Going to end the program 4 minutes early today. Woo-hoo! Because we do have a baseball montage that we will send you off with, and I think you'll really enjoy that. If you saw what we played, Darren played just about 30 minutes ago from the MLB Network, and John Hamm narrated. It was special. It is special today because America's Pastime has returned 7 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Thanks to Patriots Point, as always, for presenting our national anthem. PatriotsPoint.org for more information to check out the greatest, grandest museum in the state of South Carolina, one of the best in the country, as a matter of fact. You can go see for yourself the Laffey, the Clamagore, the Vietnam War exhibit, and, of course, the USS Yorktown, which has stolen the skylines of Charleston for quite some time. And you can actually go take a deep dive into the mud. Not literally, but the ship sinks into the mud if you'd like to tour. But you should tour it all, and you should also check out a movie at Patriots Point. HolyCityDriveIn.com is where you can find the weekend movie series that is played every weekend now on the banks of Mount Pleasant. And tomorrow night, Grease will air. Everybody's favorite. 1978 is when that movie came out. But you'll be able to back your trucks in, your cars, your tailgates, do some tailgating, watch the movie, buy some food and some drinks, and have a good family time over at Patriots Point. The rest of the schedule is available at HolyCityDriveIn.com. All right, before did I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, Bradley, sorry. I meant to, since you won the family 4-pack of tickets and you should have had them already, I'm going to get them in the mail today, and now you will have them. Okay. And then we'll give away another family 4-pack at some point, maybe next week.
We'll give, Bradley, we want you to go to
It's good for kids too, man. Grayson had a heck of a time in there, before the world shut down and we were out of town and my mom was with her and loved it.
I think it's what is on Sunday for Monsters? No, Shrek.
Shrek. That's right. Yeah.
Shrek. And one of your favorites on Saturday, Pitch Perfect.
Which is not the baseball movie.
No,
but I always think
Pitch.
it is Fever Pitch.
It's a chick flick. That's when you generally go by yourself, right? Where nobody knows that you're there.
That's right. And hide in the back. That sounds creepy.
Oh, boy. You never know. And Josh Needleman is set to join us right now. But real quick, you never know when, no pun intended, because baseball returns today, but you never know when news will plop in your lap out of way left field. But we just got that. Undisputed heavyweight champion. Yep, this one, Mike Tyson. He's making a comeback, and it's sooner than you think. He'll fight Roy Jones Jr. in an 8-round exhibition on September the 12th. Wow. We've got Rafael Esparza tomorrow from Vegas. He'll have plenty on this. But that is huge boxing news. I wonder if it's going to be kind of a fluff.
Right. Are you going to wear what's a boxing exhibition? You're still beating the heck out of each other, right?
These guys don't give a crap about Mike Tyson's like, look, if I'm not dead yet, it ain't gonna be the coronavirus that kills me.
No, it's gonna be Roy Jones Jr.
But Mike Tyson is 54 and Roy Jones Jr. is 51. Combined, they are 116 and 15 in their careers in boxing. So we'll get to more of that tomorrow. But we'll get to Josh Needleman now. He makes his debut on our program, but not his debut in this state. He's been covering Clemson for quite some time and remarkably well. And I probably owe you an apology, Josh, because we've not invited you on before. Darren is the one who kept saying not to do it.
Yeah, I'll make.
But we reached out. There's a lot actually going on at Clemson University, and so you're going to tell us about all that. But first and foremost, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm looking forward to some baseball tonight. My Bronx Bombers are back in action, so yeah, things are good.
Here we go.
We're gonna have a problem. See, this is why. This is why you don't come on the show.
I see that polo.
Hey, look here, man. I'm not in any way, shape, or form a Yankees fan. However, I do pull very, very, very intently for Jordan Montgomery and hopefully Clark Schmidt at some point in time to make his big league debut this year. A couple former Gamecocks there. I know you're covering the rival, but yeah, a couple guys that I'm quite familiar with are with the Yankees. So we'll see how it all works out. What do you think? You think the Yankees win the World Series this year?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I think so.
Isn't that
that lineup is incredible. We got Garrett Cole now. I like our chances. I have to say, though, I was rooting for the Nationals so hard in the World Series against the Astros. And this is before everything came out.
Yeah.
I've been Astros averse for quite some time.
Good for you.
Good. Yeah. Good. There you go. Yeah, the Astros. Good thing they don't have fans in the stands, Josh.
Correct.
Unless you can pump in like booing crowd noise when they're on the road. That would be interesting.
We'll get to that later.
All right. Well, that's not going to happen at Clemson. We're still trying to figure out if we can get fans in the stands. We'll get to that in just a little while. Let's start yesterday with the announcement that that it will be online classes only, Josh, until September the 21st. And I think the date is September the 13th as to when students are actually allowed back on campus. Darren made this comment earlier, and I actually tend to agree with him. So if we're incorrect, that's normal around here, and we'll allow you to correct us here. But the optics of it, I don't think this is a bad look necessarily, but the optics of it are, hey, we're going to back this thing up, and maybe this actually might help out with football season a little bit as well. So can you give us a little bit more detail as to why this decision was made, and was it made in correlation with football season?
It's an interesting question. I mean, I agree with you. My brain went to the optics of it as well when I first heard about it. I mean, the press release came out yesterday. Essentially what they're saying is we don't think it's safe yet for students to come back. The interesting thing there is, though, football players have been on campus since June 1st, where they quarantined for a week, and then workouts started June 8th. So they've been there. They didn't explicitly say that the decision involved football, but I think the subtext is there, and I think it's fair to go in that direction. I believe President Clemens, he did a Zoom call yesterday with the media, and I believe it was him, or perhaps it was the provost, who mentioned how having the football players on campus is almost like they want soccer players have been there too, men's and women's, and volleyball. Having athletes on campus is sort of a good example. They're using what they're doing with athletes and how cases are happening there with what it might be like when students return. So essentially, they're kind of using these athletes as test cases. I mean, I think I'd be interested to the other side of the argument, but I mean, that's sort of where my mind went to.
Yeah, Josh, your classes start on August the 19th. The good news, though, with this is, and this is something that I don't think has been necessarily reported on enough, not from you. I'm talking about more of a national level here. There's some national writers out there I just have no time for anymore. But we do have time for you because I read your stuff every day. Nice. Because let's go back to June 8th. All right, so Clemson football players, they show up on campus, and of course they go through the guidelines and the protocols in place to test, and that is when we discovered that okay, we've got a bunch of positives, and then that number went up a little bit more, but since then that number has come essentially all the way down. So a lot of these kids showed up on campus, Josh. They tested positive for the virus, which means they showed up with the virus. They probably spread that virus to other players on the team. But because they are in some sort of a bubble there, obviously the guidelines that are in place are working in football, which I think is a positive. But what we do understand is the negative of all this is once you throw the rest of the student body back into the mix here, these numbers are going – it's just a formality. They're going to spike, and that could mean football players as well. But the good news, though, is that what they've been doing for their football team and other athletes, that's been working. Yeah,
it is. And what they've been doing is just testing a lot. I mean, Graham Neff, their deputy athletic director, said yesterday, we just test a lot. We don't know how that might change if there were to be a season in the fall, how often they'd be tested, what kind of tests they'd be using. But yeah, things have been working. I mean, I think it was, last count was 37 football players. That's nearly a third of the team. But yeah, I mean, they have kind of been in this bubble. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I mean, like theoretically, they could be in this bubble for longer. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a universe in which the date of in-person classes starting keeps getting pushed back. And football has the campus to themselves. What a world that would be.
Oh, yeah.
They really would be the big men on campus. It just wouldn't be other people looking up to them. Josh Needleman's with us, Post and Courier beat reporter for the Clemson Tigers, his first appearance on the show, so it's a big day for him. It's not just opening day.
It's a big day for us.
But it's a big day. Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant big day for us. Your story recently on Clemson businesses, the town of Clemson, has been a talk on this show for months, basically. We didn't have the deep dives and the numbers that you came out with, but obviously college towns like Clemson, like Athens, Georgia, like State College, Pennsylvania. I mean, the list goes on and on. No football means a big problem for those businesses. What was your main takeaway in doing that piece for the Post and Courier and talking with the folks that you talked to about what no season may mean and what a season with no fans could possibly mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's real concern. I mean, obviously there were some businesses that have been around for longer than others, and some of the ones with the deeper pockets would probably be able to weather the storm. But without football, a lot of these retailers, especially, just would not be in really good shape. I mean, one manager I spoke to mentioned how like those 7 football Saturdays bring in almost half the revenue for the year. I mean, that's just a staggering number. I mean, you're talking about millions of dollars of economic impact. It would be devastating, and it's sad. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. A fall without fans would be great. I guess compared to the alternative in terms of we could have something to do on Saturdays, from a fan perspective, from a journalist perspective, but for these business owners, I mean, they're there on Saturdays from sunrise to sunset, and they are selling. So it'd be tough for them. It's something I don't know. I think it's good to be mindful of that sort of thing.
Well, certainly. I mean, this is the American dream for a lot of these folks, and some of these businesses you mentioned have been there forever. And, if there is a football season, which obviously we all hope and we're trying to stay as optimistic as possible that there will be, even if there are not fans allowed in Death Valley on game days around there, the fact that some of those restaurants, some of those retail stores and things like that would at least be able to stay open, get creative with how to somehow maintain a bottom line, whether it's to-go orders, online, apparel sales, and things of that nature. Just the excitement of football season. Did you get the sense that would at least bring some type of spike to the business of each of these folks?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, I could definitely see it being a scenario. We didn't. I guess we didn't really touch on that, just because a lot of these business owners are just so in the dark now. I mean, we're all in the dark, but for them, it's quite literally their livelihoods are in the dark. But I could see that being a scenario. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be the same. Maybe you could put together some special meal kits, or like a cool I don't know, Super Bowl style catering sort of deal. But yeah, I think they're just kind of keeping their options open.
What are the town guidelines right now in Clemson itself? Are they following county and state guidelines, or is there anything specific to Clemson as far as masks and social distancing and things of that nature?
Yeah, well, their city council passed a mask ordinance, and I don't think that's statewide. So that's that's mandatory. The majority of the establishments there have social distancing guidelines in place. You have to wear masks to come in. I know the bars are being particularly mindful of that, considering they had those. They had a few positive cases about a month back, and a lot of them had to close down. But the business owners and the employees are following the rules, wearing masks. It's just from what I've heard, it's sometimes been a struggle to get customers to necessarily be willing to follow those same rules.
Yeah, no.
So that sounds pretty normal.
Yeah, that sounds like exactly what's happening in most places. What's the sense in just talking to folks around Clemson, not necessarily on campus, not necessarily folks associated with athletics, but just in the town, the sense of whether or not they will see football this fall, if any, or maybe an ACC-only schedule, who knows? But just the overall sense in Clemson, in the town, of whether or not we'll see football.
It's kind of mixed. I mean, there is some optimism though. I mean, as I sort of got to mentioning toward the end of the article, I mean, it is kind of an optimistic place, and that's a kind of a Dabo Swinney thing. I mean, they've gotten used to things going their way. I mean, when you keep winning national titles and when you keep having this success, and this little town of 17,500 becomes a nationally recognized place, people start to feel pretty good about themselves, and there is actually a good amount of optimism about there being some form of a season.
Josh Needleman with the Post and Courier. He's on the beat of the Clemson Tigers. 1:17 on this Thursday afternoon here on the JB and Goldwater show. Scott Glaze still to come on our program. Let's go yesterday to the Senate Judiciary Committee's hearing. And, of course, Dan Radakovich, the athletics director of the Tigers, was a major part of this. Now, I'm going to preempt what I'm going to say here with I think in the state of South Carolina, we have a bunch of really, really talented athletics directors. In particular, our two Power 5 schools have two of the best in the country. Ray Tanner and Dan Radakovich are sensational. And there's a reason why they're on a lot of committees throughout the model, the NCAA model. Coach Tanner does a bunch of stuff with baseball and beyond, and D-Rad, of course, he's on a bunch of different committees, and now he's been asked to testify kind of in front of Congress. These guys, I've spoken with a bunch. I've known Ray for a long time, and I've spoken with Dan a bunch, and I know you have. They do things the right way. They're honest people. They care about their programs. They care about their student athletes. They care about the schools. They do things for the right reasons, and I know that wholeheartedly. I was a little taken back yesterday by Senator Blumenthal and his comments to D-Rad about perjury. When D-Rad said, hey, look, Power 5 schools don't take away scholarships from injured athletes, because this conversation had kind of spiraled there. And Senator Blumenthal said, well, let me remind you, you're basically under oath here. And, I didn't think that was necessary, but to fill us in, and Dan's been doing this a long time, well over 30 years, but now he's the AD at Clemson. Clemson's will is what they do in the upstate for their student athletes and guaranteeing a scholarship. Can you give us the details on that? And I don't know if you know the numbers, how many schools across the nation guarantee at least 4-year scholarships, but can you at least give us the details on Clemson's?
Just in terms of like what
that promise is to these athletes.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much what you said. I mean, there is a guarantee there. I mean, once that scholarship is there, it's there. I mean, Dabo's always been a big proponent of education. I think it's like 97 or 98% of the players have graduated, gotten their 4-year degrees, which is really incredible. Just especially in this, given, compared to a lot of other schools. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. But yeah, I mean, that guarantee is there. I mean, there are a lot of guys who have come back and left the team for whatever reason, and have been able to finish out that scholarship.
Do you have a specific example of a player who was injured early in his career at Clemson, who did not continue on athletically, but did continue on with his scholarship that is promised him by the school?
Yeah, there definitely are. I just can't seem to think of anyone at the moment.
Yeah.
I think Richard Yeargin,
yeah,
who got hurt, ended up playing in Boston College, but I think he was taking some classes at Clemson before he decided to come back. Obviously, he ended up finishing at Boston College, but he was very much still part of the Clemson family. He was at Clemson's pro day this past year, which was actually, I believe, was March 12th when everything started to shut down. So that's a whole other story. But Yeargin. There's definitely some others. I can't think of anything that come to mind.
I mean, that's a good example. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what else Dan did yesterday. Darren, I don't know if you saw this, if you read his testimony, but I'm reading word for word exactly what he said. He said, in all, at a typical university in one of our Autonomy 5 conferences, the combined value of these benefits, which is what you receive when you are a student on full scholarship, the combined value of these benefits is between $70,000 and $125,000 per student per year, and obviously that there are different are different tuition rates at different schools across the country and things of that nature. I do know that to attend Clemson University, if you are not within the state of South Carolina, it's well over $30,000, and I think that that was a very good point made by him, Josh. To basically tell these senators, hey, look, a lot of these guys, there are kids in this country at the conclusion of 4 years, they've received $500,000 worth of free schooling and mentoring and counseling and athletic benefits and everything. $500,000. I mean, you're talking about $400,000 or $500,000 worth of stuff these kids are getting over 4 years. That's a tremendous statement by D-Rad.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's definitely helpful in terms of what he's trying to do in terms of putting the number out there. I mean, it is a large number, but I think a lot of the points he made about nil were valid. I mean, I think a national standard wouldn't be the worst idea, just to have some sort of process. By which, for example, like Trevor Lawrence can get that shampoo commercial.
Sure, yeah. Well, he'd be a good one for that. Well, and yeah, let me pause there too, because I don't want to talk out of place here. Dan Radakovich was not presenting this evidence in a post to name, image, and likeness. He just wanted to make sure that the senators, this Judiciary Committee, and whatever quote working group they have moving forward, he wants to make sure that they understand that student athletes, when you're on full scholarship, at least at the Power 5 level, it's not like this isn't the Sisters of the Poor. I mean, these kids are incredible. They're better taken care of than all of us are.
Yep.
So he wanted to make sure that's at least a part of the argument. I think that's incredibly valid.
Sure. Yeah. I agree with you there. Yeah.
All right. Now, what about Coach Tanner and Dan? They've been working together to, in some way, shape, or form, preserve the rivalry. If there is any type of football season this year, they want that game played. What are you hearing on that?
Yeah, I think that'll probably be the case. During the Zoom press conference yesterday, that question was asked, and Clements was like, "Yeah, we're definitely trying to preserve that. That's for him. That was a gimme. That's definitely something obviously he's not directly involved in, I guess, the most immediate conversations with that. But yeah, that's something that I could not imagine that not happening. Yeah, I think, if there was some football, that game would be happening.
Well, if you're Clemson, it's worth scheduling a guaranteed win, right? No, yeah, look, this is my school, and I had to say it. I can crack my own jokes. What is the sense that you get of President Clements, who I have a ton of respect for? I think he's wonderful. How much he leans on Dan Radakovich as the athletics director in these decisions that are going to need to be made in the future.
I think he does a lot. I mean, I think Radakovich, being asked to speak before the Senate yesterday is just more evidence of kind of the stature that he has nationwide. And I think Clements kind of realizes that. And I think Radakovich has been sort of very involved in these conversations. I mean, especially a place like Clemson where athletics is just so integral to how everything goes. I mean, everything follows athletics as lead, basically. And we're seeing that now with students returning, the return to campus, timelines and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, I think athletics and Radakovich specifically is involved as much as he could be.
Josh, what do you have coming up in the paper here in the next few days?
I actually will have a pretty cool Sunday story this Sunday about this Clemson track runner named Lori Barton, who's actually from Clemson, went to Daniel High School, went to Virginia Tech, and ended up transferring back to Clemson. Got this really, really rare kidney condition called minimal change disease. Wow. She actually blew up. She swelled up like a balloon kind of. She gained 30 pounds of water weight. And then she gets on this medication, prednisone, and she kind of shrinks and she loses 20 pounds of muscle. And through this, she really went to a dark place and really came out of it with a really cool perspective on life that I think readers will enjoy hearing about, especially now. So yeah, kind of a little offbeat story. No real football hook, but I think Lori's got a really cool story, and I'm working on it as we speak now. So yeah, look forward to that.
We'll certainly let you get back to work on that. You've been doing a marvelous job of keeping folks at least interested in football season as we've been all going through these challenging times together. When we have you back on here soon, we'll actually talk about the things that we want to talk about this time of year, stuff like with the football team, like who's going to be Clemson's quarterback. And I'm just kidding. We know who Clemson's quarterback is. But once we get you back on the air, we'll actually dive in a little bit more to the football team itself. But over the last couple of days, there has been news that it just unfortunately, that's what's taken over the airwaves and the television screens, Josh, and you've done a nice job being on top of it all. We really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do it again.
We'll talk soon. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yes, you too.
Thank you. Josh Needleman on the beat for the Clemson Tigers with the Post and Courier, and some good stuff there. I think the biggest takeaway out of all of that was, if there's football, Gamecocks, Tigers, they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to figure out a way to do this one way or another. Might be the only game we see this year, but they're going to play. For all the corona.
For all the corona. Yeah, all the guys who are over 21, the winner of the game just gets corona.
Yeah,
we get cases and cases of corona.
Not the virus, the beer. Yeah, no doubt. All right, before we run to break and then get Scott Glaze in here so we can touch on some golf with him, I do want to make mention of a couple of NFL notes here. Fans will be required to wear masks everywhere this year. If the NFL is going to let you into a ballpark, you have to have a mask on. That is the rule put forth yesterday by the National Football League. Also, a couple of notes. Well, we'll get this one in real quick. The new name of the Washington football team is out, and it is the Washington Football Team.
Well, the new name for now. The new name for now is that. So you know what this feels like?
Okay.
Let me tell you what this feels like. It feels like a couple things converged at once, and the Redskins tried to get out in front of the bombshell story by then coming out and saying, okay, we're going to change our name, but we don't have a name yet. We're just going to change it. So they tried to shape the narrative, and then the Washington Post was like, yeah, you're not shaping this narrative. We're still coming with this story, and now I mean, if they were going to just do the Washington football team until they figured it out, why didn't they say it then?
Hey, man, yeah. So they're the Washington football team. So as of now, schedules will say Cowboys versus Washington football team or whomever.
Who was it who suggested on the show they should be like Washington FC? Like a soccer football team?
Was it Raphael?
It could have been.
It might have been
could
Raphael.
have been.
Yeah, we'll talk to him tomorrow. We'll ask him if that was him. And a couple of Gamecocks signed contracts yesterday. One, the number on this was surprising to me. A former Buck at South Carolina, DJ Wonham, whose brother Dylan still plays for Carolina, signed a 4-year deal with the Minnesota Vikings, 4 years, $4.046 million. And that includes a $750,000 signing bonus. And he, of course, is a fourth rounder. So pretty good money for DJ Wonham there going to Minnesota. And then also, and I'm surprised it actually took this long, and punters aren't generally talked about a lot, but there were a couple of real bright spots last year for South Carolina. One was the Georgia win. The other was the fact that Joseph Charlton, every time he put his toe to leather, it went about 50 to 60 yards. Joseph Charlton did sign yesterday with the Carolina Panthers, and he is a tough replacement this year for South Carolina at the punter position. He could flip the field. He was the second best punter in the country to the kid from Texas A&M. So Joseph Charlton, he's not going to be far away, just up the road in Charlotte.
And Parker White named to the Lou Groza watch list.
Parker White, yeah, he's on a watch list as well. One other real quick Gamecock note here. Former backup quarterback Bailey Hart, who is a Wando Warrior, and he's also running the QB1 organization in Charleston for Perry Orth and Stephen Garcia. He has joined the First Baptist Hurricanes coaching staff, which is coached, of course, by our friend Johnny Waters. So he'll be the quarterback coach this coming year and hopefully moving forward out there on James Island.
Good for Bailey. I mean,
Bailey's a good kid.
It looks like he really wants to get into the coaching side if he is now on a high school staff and previously had already gotten in with the QB1 stuff and as a quarterback's coach. So good for him, man. He's young. He's starting out on the right track.
No question. Really, really good hire there for Johnny. All right, quick timeout. When we return, Scott Glaze, we'll get into some golf with him. And we will leave you this afternoon with something that you'll really enjoy to kick off baseball season. That's coming up in 25 minutes. So hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show will be right back.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks. Not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Low Country. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf teams. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Hey! Now, hear this. Who the hell is that?
The JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online.
All right, 1:33. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, Thursday afternoon, July the 23rd. We've tried to cover it all, and I think for the most part we've gotten there. One more quick note in football. The Big South is planning to move forward with athletics this fall beginning September the 3rd, and that includes football. Of course, the Big South, that is the home of Charleston Southern. So we're expecting to see the Bucks on the field as of now. That is the announcement that has been made. If there are any changes, in the future to that, we will certainly let you know. All right, 3 of 3. We're going to try to hit another home run here. Thanks to Corey McCartney and Josh Needleman already for joining us today. And now to beautiful Hollywood, South Carolina. That's where we find the one and the only, believe it or not. He's got great hair, too. Scott Glaze, he's the golf pro, StonoFerryGolf.com. And he's our golf pro. He's everybody's golf pro. What's up, man?
That's right. What's going on, guys? I was diving on looking at the leaderboard here, and I'm trying to dive into some numbers on our boy DJ. He's dead last. He's about to, or did he already shoot? About to shoot another 80. One of the strangest bounce backs from a win I've ever seen after last week. But that's got my brain a little scrambled right now. But other than that, we're doing well.
It's okay. 84th. He's got a shot. Only 14 shots off the lead here in day one at the 3M.
I'm going to go ahead and say DJ is going to be he's going to be barbecuing this weekend. I don't think he's going to be up in the Twin Cities.
Hey, you never know. That might have been the plan. Baseball's back, dude. He might be wanting to watch some baseball.
That's right. That could be the case.
Smart move.
Hey, real quick, Scott, before we get really into golf with you, because we're going to have to let you go around 1:50 today. We're going to invite you to be a part of everybody's favorite segment. And we'll take a quick peek at our National Day calendar. We know you love it.
Yeah. Love
it. It's actually a good day, but this one is by far the most interesting of these 3. The other 2 you'll really like. This one's kind of weird. It is National Gorgeous Grandma Day.
Every grandma's gorgeous.
That's what I thought.
Absolutely.
Like you could take that.
Hey, that's right. And both of mine are listening right now. And they are 2 of the most gorgeous women on the planet.
Thank you.
Darn right. Beautiful.
That's where I was hoping we would go with this, because some people might look at that and go, "Oh yeah," you're like, "Get out of here, man."
See, now that's where you're going with it.
That's what I'm saying.
Leave it where we had it.
I was hoping that wasn't Scott or you here. So to all you wonderful grandmothers out there, you're all beautiful. Today, celebrate in style, especially here in the heat of Charleston. It is, but if you do go out into the heat of Charleston, enjoy a refreshment, because this is National Refreshment Day.
Oh.
What do we consider a refreshment? Only non-alcoholic, or do we include alcoholic drinks?
Oh, alcohol, definitely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What is your refreshment of choice, Scott?
Ooh, refreshment of choice. Anything cold right now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
Man, I tell you, we got a lot of good craft beer here at Stono when you come out, all local stuff. So
nice.
Anything, I like a good cold IPA after 18 holes. That's what I'll go with.
Like a hop art or something.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. From Coast.
Yeah, I don't really know about any of that stuff. I like the brown liquor. That's refreshing to me. But you know what else is? I have this drink what I call red, white, and blue. It might sound a little feminine. But it's okay because it's fantastic. It is just, I do the light cranberry juice, the 5 cal or 50 cal, whatever. Light cranberry juice and blueberry vodka.
Okay.
That's it. It's easy.
I bought Grayson the red, white, and blue popsicles yesterday.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, just melt that and add some vodka.
What is your refreshment? Yours is Miller Lite, right?
Yeah.
Miller Lite. Yeah. Okay. And then finally, if you want to cool down, this will definitely cool you down. It is National Vanilla Ice Cream Day.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, come on. Like, it doesn't have to be your favorite, but everybody loves vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, you can put some Hershey's chocolate syrup on there and make it taste perfect.
Absolutely. M&M's,
colored
sprinkles.
Oh, yeah.
Peanut butter. Just
peanut butter?
Just do vanilla ice cream and just good old-fashioned Hershey syrup.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Enjoy.
I haven't heard the peanut butter option.
No,
that's
you put
a little out there, but might have to give it a try.
Yes, I have done that with Hershey's chocolate syrup.
Ooh.
It is very rich.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll trust you.
Unlike my wallet, my banking account. All right, Scott, first of all, happy opening day, my friend. Go Braves.
Yes, that's right. Go Braves. Love it.
They'll be playing tomorrow. Tomorrow's their opening day, but it is opening day. All right. Real quick here on the 3M, that we do want to get to your take on Tiger and John Rahm from last week as well. But the 3M Open up in beautiful Blaine, Minnesota, TPC Twin Cities. Tony Finau and Ryan Moore, they're sharing the lead with I don't even know who this guy is. Brendan DeYoung. And
yes, Brendan DeYoung. He's kind of been a journeyman out on tour. He's had a few flashes, and I honestly didn't know he was still out there on tour until I saw his name pop up today.
Me neither. I did know that Zhang Zhang, because he was at the top of the leaderboard last week for a little while. He's up there at 6 under as well. Kyle Stanley, Clemson's Kyle Stanley at 5 under.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Davis, Patrick Rogers, both at 4 under. Seamus Power, and a bunch of them are at 3 under and 2 under. At 3 under, Jason Duffner, Nick Watney, Ryan Brem, and Brandon Hagee. They're all sitting right there. You already mentioned that DJ is at 8 over today. Wow.
Oh,
Awful.
he birdied his last hole, I think. I just looked at the leaderboard.
Oh, okay. Good
for him.
He finished today at 78, which is 7 over, but he's still in last place. That means following his win at the Travelers, he shot 80, 80, 78. It's nuts. I don't know what's going on. I gotta take a deeper dive on that one.
Well, Brooks went 1 under today. He shot a 70. He's in the clubhouse at 1 under. So, and he's been struggling as well, obviously, but he's coming off of being banged up a little bit. Which one of these guys has a tougher road to hoe? We've got a great month of golf coming up.
Got a really great month of golf coming up. First of all, shout out to the Twin Cities up there in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I played in the USAM up there in 2006, and that's where I discovered Caribou Coffee. Caribou Coffee is delicious. You don't see it down here too much, so that's what I think about when I saw TPC Twin Cities. I think the tougher road to hoe is going to be Brooks if he's injured. That's tough to come back from, especially a knee injury. We saw Tiger deal with injuries. I think he was going to get another MRI. That could be what's off with Brooks. For DJ, who knows what's going on with him right now. Like I said, I got to dive into that more and see where he's losing his strokes, whether it's on the green or if he's spraying the ball all over. He did make a 9 today on the 18th hole, which was his 9th, which is a quadruple bogey. So that I didn't see it, but that had to be something of hitting the ball out of bounds or hitting the ball in the water. So it looks like it could be poor ball striking and then mediocre putting to not bail himself out. However, we did see him play really clinical golf at the Travelers not so long ago. So I think DJ can right the ship. Really what he needs tomorrow is to shoot around in the 60s, get his feet back under him, and go from there. If that doesn't happen, we do go next week to Memphis for the WGC event, where DJ has had great success. He finished second to Koepka there last year and then won the year before. So both guys, as they're trying to find it before then we go to the PGA Championship in 2 weeks, will be in familiar, comfortable territory next week where maybe they can find that spark that they're looking for.
How about Tiger? He battled last weekend. He barely made the cut. The cut, as Jamie put it, came to him, basically, is what happened. He had some good days. He had some bad. It looked old at times, a little bit stiff. Do we think we'll see him next week to prepare for a major, or do we think we're not going to see him until the major?
Historically, Tiger never plays the week before a major. I mean, that has been his MO. It could be different in COVID times. He just looked rusty to me. He had times where he looked really, really good. His putting was not what it has been and what it needs to be. Looking at it right now, all year, Tiger's only played in 5 events, but he's losing almost a stroke in putting. His strokes gained is negative 0.84. So he's losing it on the greens. Easy to do when you're not in that competitive mode. The shorter shots, the putts, the chips, the pitches, those seem to leave you first more than the full swing. So he's going to need to heat up the putter if he wants to contend. I would like to see him next week. I think he needs to play next week in order to get fully ready for the PGA Championship. But I don't think we're gonna see him. He did have a quote, gosh, that it almost broke my heart last week. He said something about getting older, and he said, these days getting older is tough. When I was younger, I really enjoyed it because I was improving so much as I got older, improving every year. And he said, now I'm just trying to hold on. And I thought, ooh, man, that's kind of that's a rough quote there from Tiger. But he did show some flashes last week. And hopefully we see him next week, but we'll definitely see him in the PGA Championship. And worst case, I saw online today, they've already got all of his clothes scripted for the PGA Championship. So if you want to look like Tiger, you can go find that.
His boat's got a hell of a ways to go to get to San Francisco for the PGA Championship. Yeah, with Tiger, I mean, I do. He didn't play. I mean, he obviously started off well on Thursday. He didn't play well for the most part for the rest of the week. But I do want to try to give a little bit of credit here. Nobody played well on Sunday. I mean, Sunday. Can you talk about the course conditions that we saw on Sunday? There was one player who was better than 70 that broke 70 on Sunday, and I can't remember who it was now, but nobody else did.
Yeah, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and he shot 68. The field average was 75.9. So basically 76 is what was the average of what the field shot there on Sunday, which is the toughest single round of Memorial since 1978. So they played it really, really tough. They were tearing up the golf course Monday, and that was already known that they were doing a renovation. Jack Nicklaus, Murfield Village is the house that Jack built, and he is the host of the Memorial Tournament, and he's going to do a renovation to the golf course this summer, and it was scheduled to take place on Monday. So they came in and they were going to rip up the greens, rip up the fairways, everything. So they didn't mind having that course on the edge, so to speak, and having the greens barely be alive and be rock hard and fast. You mix in some weather conditions, and it played like a major championship. Sunday was supposed to have been Sunday of the Open Championship, so it almost seems like Jack made sure that we had a major championship type Sunday. Really difficult round, and but yes, I was disappointed to see Tony Finau on. He jumped straight up to the top of the leaderboard on Saturday and was at 12 under, and then he played his next 25 holes at 10 over. So he's a guy that just always seems to be a bridesmaid, never a bride. But Jon Rahm played great golf. He is now number one in the world. He's the second Spaniard to ever be number one in the world. Seve Ballesteros reached that back in the 70s and 80s. And he is the fourth youngest to be number one in the world. I'll let you guess who was the youngest to become number one in the world.
Probably that Tiger guy.
It was Tiger. Yeah. So the crazy, here's your crazy Tiger stat of the day, that Jon Rahm, this is his first week at number one in the world. He can stay at number one in the world every single week from now through August of 2033, and he still won't have as many weeks at world number one as Tiger Woods.
Tiger was good.
I mean,
he was good.
Yeah, he could play that golf.
Kid could play a little bit. Well, you mentioned Tony. I mean, Tony's at the top of the leaderboard this week, and you mentioned how he finished last week. But I mean, I think 8th overall is where he placed in last week's.
Still a top 10, and that's his 36th career top 10. It's funny. There's in kind of the golf world, there's talks of the Puerto Rico Open curse. How guys that win that tournament never win again on tour. Tony's last win on the PGA Tour, his only win on the PGA Tour was Puerto Rico Open. And he's got 36 top 10s. Another one was last year. Since the start of the 2019 season, Tony Finau is in the top 10. He's 7th in rounds 1 through 3 scoring. So he's playing really well first 3 rounds. His 4th round scoring in the last 2 years is about 140th. In terms of ranking. So he just can't finish the deal. Hope he can this week. This is going to be a good course where you're going to see a lot of birdies. Last year, there were almost 2,000 birdies made at the 3M Championship, which was the most of any course on tour. So you should see a lot of fireworks.
All right, real quick to finish here on Brooks, finish here with Brooks. Koepka won the St. Jude last year. He also, of course, won the PGA last year. And so does that have any effect at all on how he prepares himself over the next couple of weeks for those tournaments?
Well, like I said earlier, it'll be good and familiar for him to have this same kind of back-to-back familiarity with the St. Jude Classic and the PGA Championship. I think this week, I wouldn't expect a lot out of him this week. I mean, he could catch fire, but I think you start seeing the best in the world in weeks before majors start preparing for the upcoming major. So let's say if Harding Park, and I don't know, I need to scout the golf course, but say it really requires a lot of fades off the tee. Well, you'll see guys then maybe trying to hit some fades, more fades off tee shots during these other tournaments leading up to the event. So they're getting their competitive reps, but they're also preparing for that bigger picture ahead. So we might see some of that from Brooks, and then also what he's doing on the range. So it will be nice and comfortable for him, and he's two-time defending PGA champion, and he loves having a chip on his shoulder. So that's certainly going to motivate him to try and have a three-peat there for the PGA Championship. So, and I would, if I was a betting man, I would put a lot of money on him at least banking a top 10 at the PGA Championship. I'd be shocked if he didn't compete for the win there, or worse, finish in the top 10.
Absolutely. Scott Glaze on Twitter, believe it or not, at Scott Glaze. StoneO'FerryGolf.com is where you can find him. You can also see the entire golf course at StoneO'FerryGolf.com. This week we're looking at hole number 5. Tell us about 5 out in Hollywood.
So 5 is named Kusabo, which a lot of people might not know this. Kusabo was the American Indian tribe that stretched from Charleston down to the Savannah River, and then a lot of the familiar names were sub-tribes of that. So we had Kusal, Edisto, Kiowa, Bohicket, Wando, Wapu. That all came from the Kusabo tribe. So that's what hole 5. Stono was one of those, and so that's where number 5 comes from. I really like number 5. It's the first par 5 on the golf course. From the back tees, it's only 493 yards. So that is a very gettable par 5. When I get to a par 5, I always look at it as a good birdie opportunity. However, we've got some difficulty out there. There is a cross bunker that sits from the back tees about 250 yards or so from the tee, maybe about 240 over on the right side. So that's going to catch any type of golf ball for the right-handed player that hits kind of a weak fade or slice. It can get caught in that bunker. Then it's going to be a penal second shot. We do have a center pot bunker that is about 295 yards from the back tee. So for the College of Charleston players, when they're out here, for our better players that can hit the ball 300 yards, that presents a huge challenge, because you have to then come up with your game plan, like we talked about before, of what am I going to do on this tee shot? Am I going to lay up off the tee, or I'm going to challenge that bunker and try to fly it? So that presents a huge challenge, because if you hit it in the trap there, it's then a very difficult second shot. You're not going to be able to go for the green in 2. There's also a creek that runs down the entire right side of the hole. So if you hit it way right, then you're going to be dropping your next shot with a penalty stroke there. If you're able to navigate your way around those 2 very nicely placed bunkers, you're going to have a go at this green and be able to have a shot at birdie. The green is 26 yards deep, 22 yards wide, and it is 2-tiered. So the bottom part of the green is several feet lower than the top part of the green, and there is a backboard, so to speak, in the middle there. So if you do have a shorter shot coming into the green, you can use that backboard for a front pin. There's a very large and deep trap on the right. If you miss the green, some moguls to the left, and you are able to run the ball up on the middle of the green. So the real challenge, and where you have to refer to your game plan, is on the tee ball. If you get the ball in play, then you're going to have a go at this green, be able to maybe have a chance at eagle, but certainly we would like to have a great birdie opportunity, and no worse than a par. So 5 gives you that first par 5 opportunity out here at Stono.
And for golfers like me, it gives you the first opportunity to bogey a par 5.
That's not the takeaway. No, it gives you the opportunity to go out there and improve your game.
Oh,
yes.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
I'm optimistic about football season, not my golf game. Scott Glaze, StoneO'FerryGolf.com. You can book a tee time. You can find out about becoming a member at Stone O'Ferry by heading to the website. You can take a bird's eye view of the golf course, anything and everything you want to know about the original Hollywood, South Carolina, the home of Stone O'Ferry Golf. That is where you go, StoneO'FerryGolf.com, and you'll find Scott and his beautiful hair out there as well. The locks, they flow well in the wind, my friends. At the
right. Hey, I appreciate it.
Absolutely, yeah. The Stono River's got nothing on those locks, man. They look good. Scott, have a great weekend of golf and baseball. Certainly looking forward to having you back next week. Good stuff as always.
Absolutely. Y'all enjoy sports coming back. Not a huge week in golf, but the next two are going to be really, really exciting. Look forward to talking about it.
No question. Thank you, man.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. Scott Glaze joining us from the country club out at Stono Ferry. All right. We've pretty much squeezed it all in today. Only about probably a minute and a half to go, and then we'll leave you with a montage to get you excited, if you're not already, for Major League Baseball season. Real quick, if you happen to miss this news today, the big breaking news in college football is that the Pac-12 has confirmed they are finalizing a 10-game conference-only schedule for 2020, which will start in mid-September. They also have 3 dates available, Darren, to be able to play a conference championship game at some point in time. I think it's like 14 weeks total to get the season in. So you and I have already hit on this over the last couple of weeks that, hey, look, there was a span there of 15 weeks where you could realistically do this. And it looks like that's where the Pac-12 has already kind of shifted their model to.
And there are rumblings out of the Big 12 today as well that they're not looking at a small schedule. I mean, they 12 is not off the table for the Big 12 yet either. So,
or the SEC or the ACC.
That's right.
For that matter. Thank you so much, as always, to our friends Corey McCartney and Scott Glaze. And for the first time today, Josh Needleman with the Post and Courier for joining us on our program. Had a lot to get to. We got to all of it. And as always, in addition, thanks to Darren Goldwater for his fine, very difficult work that he does day in and day out around here on our program. We're back tomorrow with Rafael Esparza and with Michael Flint, and plenty of football to get to. Until then, we leave you with this. Baseball is back tonight on ESPN at 7 o'clock. You've probably seen all of these movies. They should inspire you to watch if you're not inspired enough as it is. Until tomorrow, we'll see you then.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Harry Doyle, along with my good friend and partner, Monty, what's-his-name, giving a big wahoo welcome to all the Cleveland faithful. Rick Vaughn gets the starting call today. We're told he matured a lot over the winter. Apparently, he's bathing now. Congratulations, Rick. As you know, Monty, Vaughn's been working on a couple of new pitches, the Eliminator and the Humiliator, to complement his fastball, the Terminator. I heard that. Dynamite drop in, Monty. That broadcast school has really paid off.
Ain't gonna be a next time, Jake. All we got's right here. Right now, you know what I mean? Maybe tomorrow we'll all wear 42. That way they won't tell us apart.
S'more what? No, you want a s'more. I haven't had anything yet, so how can I have some more of nothing? Shut up! You're killing me, Smalls.
Baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Dude, what the hell's going on out here?
Well, Nook's scared because his eyelids are jammed and his old man's here. We need a live, was it a live rooster? We need a live rooster to take the curse off Jose's glove, and nobody seems to know what to get Millie or Jimmy for their wedding present. Is that about right?
That's right.
We're dealing with a lot of shit.
Okay, well, candlesticks always make a nice gift, and maybe you can find out where she's registered, maybe a place setting or maybe a silverware pattern. Okay, let's get to it. We go.
Jesus. I like him very much. But he no help with curveball.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
And you know, Steve, you get the feeling that Billy Chappell isn't pitching against left-handers, he isn't pitching against pinch hitters, he isn't pitching against the Yankees. He's pitching against time. He's pitching against the future, against age, and even when you think about his career, against ending. And tonight, I think he might be able to use that aching old arm one more time to push the sun back up in the sky and give us one more day of summer.
You know what we get to do today, Brooks? We get to play baseball.
How can you not be romantic about baseball?
You guys, you ought to get the ball around the infield. You lollygag your way down to first. You lollygag in and out of the dugout. Do you know what that makes you, Larry?
Lollygag.
Lollygaggers. What's our record, Larry?
8-16.
8-16. How'd we ever win 8?
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. This is a simple game. You throw the ball. You hit the ball. You catch the ball.
Baseball is what gets inside you. It's what lights you up. You can't deny that.
It just got too hard.
It's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. The hard is what makes it great.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.